Hey, welcome to the channel. So in today's video, I'm going to show you how to change a battery in a 2014 Jeep Grand Cherokee. Everything that we're going to go through today is going to apply to any Jeep Grand Cherokee from 2011 up to about 2022 when they changed over to the new body style. This will also cover you if you've got a Dodge Durango from that era as well. So let's get into it. All right, so the very first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna pop the hood here. Once we pop the hood, we're gonna take a look around and we are gonna curse Chrysler because Chrysler didn't actually put the battery under the hood in this vehicle, okay? What they ended up doing was they gave you a spot, and I'll just show you guys here, where you can actually boost the vehicle by, but really that's about it. Okay, what we're gonna have to do, folks, we're gonna have to actually go under the passenger side seat to get the battery out of this thing. Yeah, I know, great idea. All right, I'm gonna show you how we do that. So in terms of what we're gonna need to actually get the job done, first things first, we're gonna need a replacement battery. Now, whether it's Grand Cherokee or Durango, they're gonna use an H7 battery, okay? And I'll put a link to this one in the description below. I've got myself just a regular screwdriver here so I can pry up the little compartment where the battery is going to actually be stored. Got some needle nose pliers because there's going to be some vent caps that we're going to remove. And then I've got my 1/4" drive ratchet here. Now, you might want a little bit of a bigger ratchet. This is what I had on hand. And you're also going to need a 10 mil socket. And that 10 mil is going to be used to get the actual posts or the clamps off the battery. And then the 13 mil is going to be for the retention bolts. And that's kind of why I've got the extension too. Once we get into it, it's all going to make sense. All right, so once I've got my floor mat out of the way, now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pop this little plate up here. Give you guys a little bit of a better look at it, all right? So for this corner here, I can get my thumb under here fairly easily. I'm just going to pry up like that. And there's where the battery lives, all right? There are two other tabs though under the very front, and this is where I'm going to grab my flat screwdriver and just pop both of those out. All right, and this is the section that I'm talking about right here. All right, so I just get my screwdriver under here like this and pry up. We can hear one side popped, and there we go. There's the other side. And now that frees this entire piece. So now I can pull this out of here all together, and now I've got full access to the battery here. One thing to keep in mind, to make this easier, you're probably gonna have to move the seat forward or backward just a bit. I'm gonna start by running the seat all the way forward because I gotta get the battery bracket out now. All right, so I've got the seat moved all the way forward. I've got that little compartment off. Now what I need to do is I need to go ahead and I need to remove the bracket that actually holds the battery in place. I'm gonna grab my GoPro here and I'm gonna punch in a little bit tighter so you can see what I'm talking about. So if you look into this battery compartment here, guys, hopefully the camera picks it up. There's gonna be one bolt head there, and there's gonna be one bolt head there, okay? These are both 13 millimeter, okay? I'm gonna use an extension on my ratchet, and I'm gonna work on getting this plate out. Once I get that plate out of place, then I can actually move the battery back and forward just a little bit. So let's work on getting that taken care of. All right, there's one. One more to go. Okay, so hot tip. You guys can see I'm probably struggling a little bit with this one here. There's a lot of corrosion on that stud. Taking a little bit of WD-40 penetrating oil, putting some of that on there first, gonna make a huge difference, make this a heck of a lot easier to take off. I do things the hard way so that you can do them the easy way. So I'm gonna keep working at this, but we're just about there. Awesome, and there's the second nut. Okay, so now that I got both of those nuts out of there, now what I can do is I can take the plate out, and that's what actually holds that battery in place, all right? So I'll just punch you guys in here so you can get a little bit of a better perspective of what I'm talking about. This plate right here, this is this thing that holds the battery in place. So what I'm gonna do is, this here is my vent for the battery. I'm gonna pop this out first, and we can put this off to the side. And now I'm gonna grab this plate and I'm gonna pull the plate out. Awesome, there it is. All right, so now that I got this plate out of here, now I can actually move the battery around. So I got my vent tube off. I'm gonna check the positive side of the battery to see if there's a vent on that one. Once I get those pulled off, now we can start taking the terminals off the battery. We're getting there. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna switch over to my 10 mil socket here, all right? And by switching over to my 10 mil socket, now I'm gonna work on my battery terminals and I'm gonna get those off. So my rule is your negative terminal should be the first one off and the last one back on, okay? You just kind of do these in reverse order. I start with my negative, then I move my positive. When I get everything set back up again, I put my positive on, and then I finish with my negative, all right? Well, let's get those loosened. Now, one other thing to be mindful of here, once I've loosened it and I've taken the terminal off, there's no moving the seat anymore, okay? It's done because now I've killed power to the vehicle. So I wanna be somewhat efficient in how I do this. I've got this all the way up, I've got it all the way forward. My plan to get this battery out here is now that I can slide it around in the compartment, I'm probably gonna have to tip it over and then pull it out, okay? Now, something to be mindful of, these are AGM batteries. It's a sealed, I believe it's an absorbent glass mat, okay? There's not traditional liquid electrolyte in here. If I put it on its side, it's gonna be okay for the most part. I'm just not gonna leave it like that, but to get it out, that's my game plan here. All right, well, let's go ahead and do that positive post. All right, and now you can maybe see in here, there's the positive. This one's gonna be a little bit more challenging for me with how I have things positioned, but I can still get my socket in here. All right, hopefully you guys can see that. And then, just like that, loosen them up. Excellent, and now I'm pretty confident that is nice and loose. Okay, now I'm gonna go pull the negative off, and then I'm gonna pull the positive off, and we can start wrestling this thing out of here. We're almost there. Ah, there it is. All right, got the old one out. Let's go ahead and get the new one in. All right, so just to show everyone real quick before we put the new battery in, this is what our compartment looks like in here with it empty, okay? I wanna make sure that I keep this vent tube out of the way. I'm gonna do my best to move the negative and the positive cables out of the way so I can put this thing in here without squashing too much stuff, all right? So let's get that done. Okay, so just to highlight one thing that I did do, there's a little connector that goes on the end here, and I believe that's just to monitor your battery condition or temperature. I pulled that off first just so I could push this out of the way and make things a little bit easier for myself here, okay? Okay, so just one thing I want to mention here. If you guys take a look at my replacement battery here, this one's actually got a little more beans than my old one had. I have 850 cold cranking amps at -17, which is going to be great. To give you some context, my old battery in this thing, 10 years old. Okay, it's original from the Jeep. So even though it was still cranking over and things were working fine, I was getting a bunch of weird little electrical gremlins popping up. So, you know, after 10 years, this was a good, I thought that this was just gonna be a good investment. What I'm gonna do when I pop this in, I'm leaving the negative protector on and the positive protector on because it's all exposed sheet metal in there and I don't want anything arcing out, okay? So let's go ahead and wrestle this puppy back into place. All right, we're almost there, folks. So I got this one dropped into place now. What I'm gonna do is, it's a good question. Should I save this plate for last or should I put it on now? If I put it on now, it's gonna lock the battery in place. But because I got that seat all the way forward to put the positive battery cable on, I can't move the seat till I get that back on anyway. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna put this plate back on, we're gonna lock it in place, then I'm gonna put my vent tube back in here. Let's get it done. And just so you can see here, folks, what I've done is I've slid this battery all the way forward in this cage. Once you get it into place, it's not gonna wiggle side to side, but now we're gonna go and we're gonna put this piece back on. I'm gonna start with my vent tube here. Push that in there. All right, so I've got these finger tight. Now I'm going to switch back to my ratchet and get these the rest of the way there. All right, and there we are. Just like that, we've got that back in place. Now let's start reconnecting our terminals here, all right? Just like we were saying before, gonna start with my positive first and then do my negative last. All right, so now the fun part. I'm gonna get this cap here off of my battery, all right? So that's cleared out. And now I'm gonna get my positive cable in place here, all right? So be very careful here because I don't want the cable to touch the battery post or any part of the frame, and I'm pretty tight in here right now, all right? So that's what we're gonna try to accomplish here. All right. Hopefully you guys can see this. Positive cable is just about in place here. I'm gonna have to wiggle this one a bit and play with it, but I should be able to get it in there. Yeah, there we go. Now I wanna make sure that I've got this thing seated well, so I'm gonna just keep pressing on it till I know I've got it in a good spot, and then I can go and I can tighten up that bolt here. All right, let's get that done. Awesome, there we go. Nice solid connection. All right, let's move over onto the negative. All right, we got our positive cable reconnected. Let's go ahead and get the negative reconnected, and we can start buttoning things back up here, and we're just about done, all right? All right, so one thing that I want to show you guys first was this here was that sensor wire that I was talking about that I had disconnected before. I'm gonna reconnect this first, and then I'm gonna pull, actually I can pull this cap off now. I'll get this off of the battery here, and then we're gonna go ahead and reconnect this terminal. All right, and there we go. Just like that, we've got power restored to the Jeep. I can see my dome lights are on already. Fantastic. We're gonna button the rest of this up. We're gonna fire it up just to make sure that we're good to go. Now, before I button everything up, these wires here, folks, I just wanna make sure that I've got these in a good spot, that they're not gonna get pinched or anything when I put this cover back on. Man, that Hemi sounds good when it lights off. All right, so just like that, for about 10 to 15 minutes of our time, plus the cost of the battery, we were able to get this thing swapped out, and now we should be in for a trouble-free winter. Well, at least that's the hope, right? So for as much as I rip on Chrysler for where they position that battery, it wasn't that bad of a process, all right? If you found that video helpful, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. Watching the video from start to finish makes a huge difference in the algorithm for me. So if you get to the parts where, you know, you're already good, just maybe put me on mute and let it finish off, all right? Again, folks, thank you so much for the support. See you in the next video. Bye for now.